What if the creature you've raised from birth, your pride and joy, suddenly turned on you in a horrifying moment of betrayal? Mike Hodge, a seasoned animal sanctuary owner, had devoted his life to African wildlife, particularly his beloved lion Shamba. But on one fateful day in 2018, everything went tragically wrong. This is how his love for the wild led him to an incredible brush with death. Welcome to Mike Hodge wasn't just any sanctuary owner. His connection to wildlife ran deep. Born and raised in England, Mike and his wife Chrissy left behind their previous life 30 years ago to pursue their passion for African wildlife. They moved to South Africa, where they built Morelli, a sanctuary dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating lions, cheetahs, leopards, and other majestic creatures. But of all the animals they cared for, none was closer to Mike's heart than Shamba. Found abandoned in the wilderness, Shamba was the sole survivor of his litter. Mike and Chrissy nurtured him from a cub, feeding him by hand. Over the years, Shamba grew into a massive, majestic lion, quickly becoming the sanctuary's star attraction. One of the most popular features at the sanctuary was the Lion Mobile Tour. Tourists were driven through the lion enclosure in a caged vehicle, while Shamba, the main star, would leap onto the cage roof. Visitors watched in awe as he fed on chickens placed on top of the cage, standing only inches away from them. The dramatic sight of the powerful lion up close made for thrilling, unforgettable, if not risky, photo opportunity. For years, Mike's bond with Shamba was something special, a relationship built on trust, years of care, and a profound connection. Mike would often enter Shamba's enclosure, feeding him by hand, scratching him behind the ears, and showing their seemingly unbreakable bond to awestruck tourists. It was a sight to behold, man and beast together in harmony, or so it seemed. But the truth is, no matter how close you get to a wild animal, their instincts remain unpredictable, and on May 2nd, 2018, that reality came crashing down. It was a day like any other at the Morelli Sanctuary. A group of American tourists had gathered, eager to see the famous Shamba in action. Mike, at 67 years old, was still the heart and soul of the sanctuary. He loved guiding tours, sharing his passion for wildlife with visitors from around the world. That morning, everything seemed normal. Mike, driving the sanctuary's iconic lion mobile, gave his guests the ultimate safari experience. They'd seen zebras, antelopes, and elephants, but everyone knew the highlight was yet to come: Shamba. The lion was the sanctuary's main attraction, and Mike was determined to give the tourists the experience of a lifetime. Little did he know, this would be the day that everything changed. When they arrived at Shamba's enclosure, something was off. Earlier that day, Mike had noticed Shamba was acting strangely. Shamba, who usually bounded towards Mike in a playful manner, was agitated, his nose pressed to the ground. Unknown to the tourists, a badger had snuck into the enclosure the night before, leaving its musk all over Shamba's territory. And though the badger was long gone, the scent lingered, triggering Shamba's territorial instincts. Lubanzi, Mike's top guide, noticed the changes in Shamba's behavior right away. He warned Mike that something wasn't right, but Mike, ever confident in his bond with Shamba, brushed it off. After all, he had raised Shamba from a cub. What could go wrong? Hodge placed several chickens on top of the truck to feed Shamba, and as expected, the lion appeared, climbing up the cage and feasting, much to the delight of the tourists, who snapped many pictures of the beautiful creature. It was such an amazing scene to see this magnificent animal so close and see the power in his jaws. The tour was coming to an end. When Shamba finished his meal, Mike began driving the vehicle towards the exit. Shamba was still very close by, but not to worry, the sanctuary had a routine for safety managing the lions. One of the employees called to Shamba, luring him away from another piece of meat. But for some reason, Shamba hesitated, sniffing the ground. He knew something had been in his territory. The badger scent remained. "Come on, Shamba," the employee called out, extending another piece of meat. It seemed to work as the great lion began walking away. Hodge, confident the lion was far enough, jumped out of the truck and walked into the enclosure to inspect where maybe the badger had dug in. As he walked away from the truck, something unexpected happened. In an instant, Shamba turned around. Instead of focusing on the meat, his attention shifted back to Mike. And then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Shamba begins running toward Mike. Mike turns and runs as fast as he can towards the exit. But Shamba was too fast. Just as he reached the exit, Shamba grabbed him and pinned him against the fence, right in front of his horrified guests. One moment, the tour of a lifetime had turned nightmarish. Mike was pinned to the ground beneath 400 pounds of muscle, claws, and teeth, his claws sinking deep into his back. The tourists screamed in horror, watching as Shamba dragged Mike across the dirt like prey. Mike knew better than to fight back. Years of experience had taught him that resisting would only make things worse. He went limp, allowing Shamba to drag him, praying that the lion's instincts wouldn't lead to a fatal bite. The searing pain in his jaw and back was almost unbearable, but Mike's focus was on survival. The tourist's screams only fueled Shamba's frenzy. The lion wasn't just attacking, he was in full predator mode, and Mike was his target. In the moments after the attack, onlookers were in a state of shock and panic. The video footage captured their horrified reactions, with people screaming and calling for help. One woman can be heard crying out, "Somebody help, please! Oh my God!" as Mike was dragged by Shamba into the bushes. Panic swept through the group. Some began shouting, others cried, helplessly witnessing the terrifying scene unfold. For a brief moment, Shamba released Hodge, but it was only temporary. The lion grabbed him again and pulled him behind a nearby bush. "Shoot!" someone yelled. A gunshot rang out, then another and another. With another shot, Shamba fell to the ground, his massive body finally still. The king of the sanctuary was dead, and Mike lay bleeding on the ground, his life hanging by a thread. Mike was alive, but just barely. His jaw was shattered, his back torn apart by Shamba's claws. As he was airlifted to a hospital in Johannesburg, the sanctuary fell silent. Shamba, the lion Mike had raised from a cub, was gone. But the loss didn't end there. The emotional toll was immense. For Mike and Chrissy, Shamba's death was more than just the loss of an animal. It was the end of a bond they had nurtured for years. And for Lubanzi, the man who pulled the trigger, the memory of that day would haunt him forever. In the wake of the attack, the sanctuary was never the same. Mike survived, but the physical and emotional scars remained. For a man who had dedicated his life to protecting wildlife, losing Shamba in such a violent, unexpected way was devastating. The bond they had shared for over a decade had been shattered in an instant. But even in the face of tragedy, Mike remained resilient. Though the sanctuary mourned Shamba, they continued their work, rescuing and caring for animals in need. Incredibly, Mike returned to the sanctuary, continuing the work he and Chrissy had started. But the memory of that day, the day when the king of the jungle turned on the man who had raised him, would never fade. In the wild, nothing is ever certain. No matter how close the bond between man and beast, nature's instincts can never be fully tamed. Mike's story is a powerful reminder of the thin line between trust and survival in the world of wildlife. Though Shamba is gone, his legacy lives on at the Morelli Sanctuary. Visitors continue to flock to the park, eager to witness the majesty of the lions, cheetahs, and leopards that call it home. And for Mike, the sanctuary remains a testament to his passion for wildlife, a passion that, despite the pain and loss, continues to drive him every day. In the end, Mike Hodge's story is one of resilience, but it is also a cautionary tale, one that reminds us that in the world of the predator, no bond, no matter how strong, can ever fully overcome the call of the wild. If this story has left you captivated, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible tales from the wild. Remember, even in paradise, danger is always lurking.